What's going on, everyone? The living lobster here. Just kidding. DSP here with a bad sunburn that I'm going to have to take a couple days to get over, so that's going to explain why I look so pink or so bright red or however I look right now. Nothing I can do about it. But anyway, welcome to another edition of the Hateful Truth video game review series. And this is where you can come to get maximum truth and minimum bullshit on the newest and latest and hottest releases. I don't get paid by any mainstream media company. I'm not affiliated with any kind of a one company or one console or one anything over the other. So you can always expect that I'm going to give you the honest truth based off of my gameplay experiences with games. So today we're going to talk about a game highly anticipated, pretty well hyped, okay? A game that was under the umbrella of a company that kind of likes to keep things secretive. They don't like it when video footage of their games gets leaked out to the public. A lot of the times they don't even like it when a game is already for public sale if you show footage of their games. And really a game that they kind of kept a little bit under wraps. If you went to like a convention or whatever, you could see trailers of the game, but there was always a boxed off area. It was very private. Oh, you know, we can't have this leaked. A game that's pretty long in the making. I mean, the last iteration of this game, I believe, was around, I want to say around 10 years ago. I could be a little bit off there, but it's been quite a while. And so, being told that this series was being renewed, it was being rejuvenated for the modern consoles as well as PC, eventually. Being that originally this was a PC game in its first two appearances or iterations, a lot of people were interested to see how is this game going to change for the modern times, what's going to happen. And of course, we were talking about the third-person bullet time shooter Max Payne 3. Now, Max Payne has always been a dark series, a kind of a noir touch to it, but not really, where it was really just really gritty, base, gory. There's going to be very adult-oriented. There's going to be swears. There's going to be nudity. There's going to be real gory kill scenes. You have to expect that with the Max Payne series. And really what Max Payne 3 seeks to do is to wrap up the story of Max Payne after the ending of Max Payne 2, explain to you what happened to the character after all those horrible occurrences in the first two games, bringing him to the future now after a hiatus of us not seeing him for quite some time, and wrapping up the Max Payne story. And if that is the goal of Max Payne 3, then I have to say the game actually does a really good job of that. Max Payne 3's single-player campaign is pretty damn long. I'd have to say I think it's around 10 hours long, depending on how good you are. Obviously it could be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter depending on if you're better or worse at the game. And it is a really well-written narrative with high production values, interesting characters, great voice acting, a plot with twists and turns with a lot of interesting stuff going on, and a really cool ending to wrap up the Max Payne series. So, in that regard, you get what you expect from a Rockstar game. You know what I mean? When you get a Rockstar game, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get interesting story, good characters, really high production values. You're going to have crazy cutscenes, everything's going to be highly detailed, everything's going to be really well done, a lot of detail to the gaming world. And Rockstar does not fail to disappoint with Max Payne 3, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to split this review up into two parts as always, single-player campaign and then multiplayer. I really feel that the focus of Max Payne 3 is the single-player campaign, being that this is the third third entry into the series. The first two games really didn't have a multiplayer focus. But then I do want to talk about that multiplayer because I do think that the multiplayer adds on to the package itself of Max Payne 3. So, Max Payne 3, as a narrative, basically starts you off with a bunch of flashbacks, a lot of in medias res, which means you kind of start in the middle of the story, but then during the story there's flashbacks to things that have happened in the past 10 years of Max Payne's life that led up to where you are now, bringing him up to the current day. And so, Max Payne, I don't want to give away a lot of spoilers, but basically his life's a mess. He's an alcoholic, he's a drug addict, he's in pain all the time from all the shit that he's been through, whether it's emotional torment from what happened to his family, whether it's physical torment from all the years where he's just been doing this bloody job as a cop and being shot up and injured. He needs these painkillers and this alcohol to keep living. And in Max Payne 3, we resume the story of this main title character, where he's now become kind of a gun for hire. He's a mercenary. He's basically a guy who's hired to protect a high-ranking family in a country just littered with political turmoil, with military unrest. I believe everyone in the country speaks Portuguese, and I think it's in Sao Paulo. That's where it's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I wanted to make sure I had the location correct. And basically, it's his job to try to protect this particular high-ranking family who does have a lot of political power, does have a lot of money. The locals aren't too happy with that, and you go through the course of the game making friendships, trying to find out what's going on, who's actually trying to hurt this family, trying to save some family members that get kidnapped, going through different locales, then actually having flashbacks, finding out how Max eventually went from his job as being a former police cop or police detective and going into this line of work, which he never expected he was going to do. He thought he was done for good. You're going to have twists, you're going to have turns, there's going to be double crosses, there's going to be mystery. Is this guy really with me or against me? Who's really behind the whole plot? You're going to have really large scale pieces where you're on buildings that are collapsing and you have to escape but not get killed. There's going to be all kinds of variety in gameplay. You'll be shooting on boats, you'll be shooting on cars, you'll be shooting all kinds of shit. That's what Rockstar does best, a high production value game. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to get it with Max Payne 3, okay? The gameplay, okay, really is kind of loyal to the original 2 Max Payne games. It's going to be the kind of game where you want to run and gun a lot, especially in the early goings. You've still got that bullet time ability that a decade ago was really cool, when the Matrix movies were coming out. Wow, bullet time's the new rage and all the rage. Now it's kind of played out. A lot of games have used it. In particular, just recently, Sniper Elite V2 used bullet time to do these crazy execution kills with the sniper, and so it's kind of become commonplace at this point. Max Payne 3 still has those abilities, still has the bullet time dodge as well, where he jumps through the air and everything slows down so you can get those pinpoint accurate shots off. And the whole point of the game is to put you in rooms with hundreds of dudes. It's one-man army against, a totally overpowered group of people you're fighting, and you have to use your bullet time skills to basically take out these people and win even against overwhelming odds. A new element that was added into Max Payne 3 is that there is a full cover system. In previous Max Payne games, it was much more just about running, gunning, and using your bullet time, not really worrying about cover, but just trying to kill as much as possible before they killed you, and utilizing your bullet time to its greatest ability. You can still do that in Max Payne 3, but it does also have full cover system features similar to games a la Gears of War, a la Uncharted. So it's kind of adapting a little bit to the modern times. That being said, there are some really things that about Max Payne 3 that really grind my gears. They get my goat, because here we are 10 years later, and you would think that if Rockstar is going to renew this franchise and bring it out to consoles, and all this is going to be a major release, that at least they would have done a little bit of effort, maybe a little bit of research into what people like these days. And let me explain what I mean. So Max Payne 3, just like I said, it's one man against overwhelming odds. And you expect that, but then there's also a cover system. And you're like, well, wait a minute. If this is supposed to be true or loyal to the original Max Payne games, you should need a cover system. Well, it becomes apparently clear about halfway through the game why this cover system exists. There are times in this game that you cannot survive without the cover system. Now, I'm sure you're going to have the hardcore Max Payne aficionados from a decade ago. Oh, DSP, you didn't play the game right, and you suck at this and that, and you don't know what you're doing, and no, you can still do this and that. Listen, first of all, I did play the first 2 Max Payne games on PC, so I understand the bullet time mechanic. I understand how you were supposed to play the game, okay? This game is attempting to bring that kind of old school gameplay, the hard difficulty, really crippling hard difficulty at certain times, and bring it into the mainstream, to present it to a new audience by bringing it to consoles. And adding the cover system, I think, was a way to familiarize this generation with this style of game. Okay, yeah, you have your bullet time, you can use it, but for those who aren't used to the bullet time, you can also use the cover system. Here's the problem with Max Payne 3. There's 2 startling errors, in my opinion, that they make with the campaign of this game. The first being, there are points in this game where you are overwhelmingly overcome with enemies. There will be rooms where there's 2 to 3 levels. There's balconies up high, there's doors behind you, there's ground level enemies in front of you, all behind cover. You don't know how many people are in the room, okay? Now, in old school games, it was all about trial and error, okay? If you're going to do trial and error, okay, I run in the room, I killed 3 guys, but there was a guy flanking me and I didn't know that. So the next time I fight this, and because I died and I have to replay it, I'll kill the 3 guys, I'll turn, and I'll kill the guy that's flanking me immediately. And so after a series of trial and error, you eventually learn everyone in the room, where they're going to be, and you know what order to kill them so that you can win. Here's the difference between back then and now. Back then, a decade ago, when Max Payne 3 was primarily on the PC, you would be saving constantly. Now what I mean is that on PC games, yeah, you have the ability 99% of the time to save whenever the hell you want. So you could kill 2 enemies, save the game. Turn, kill a 3rd enemy, save the game. Oh, I got killed from the flank. Well, guess what? You don't have to replay that first 40 seconds of gameplay because you just saved. So you reload. Oh, you start out from when you killed the 3rd guy. You know there's a guy coming over here. You turn, boom, you kill him. So there's repetition, but not to the point where you have to repeatedly replay the entire scene, okay? I think that when they made Max Payne 3, they realized a lot of people would be really pissed off if they had to repeatedly play the same scenes over and over and over and over. And that's why they added the cover mechanic. Okay, rather than just die instantly, spend some time behind cover and see if you can get the lay of the land, see if you can figure out where all the enemies are before you go running and gunning and using bullet time to try to take them all down. Of course, you can't stay in cover forever because in this game actually has a destructible cover system where if you stay in one area for too long, the cover will disintegrate and then you have to move on. So that's one thing that they added. But again, what they're not counting on is that you can't save at all times. In the old Max Payne games, you could save whenever the hell you wanted. Now you can't anymore. It's on a console and you've lost that ability. That's mistake number 1, okay? Mistake number 2 is, okay, so you can't save anymore. What do they replace it with? An auto-saving checkpoint system. And I have to say from experience, especially from recent games that I played, the checkpoint system in this game in certain places is horrendous. I'm talking you will fight wave after wave after wave after wave of enemies, repeatedly die because you don't know what to expect with each wave, have to start out at the beginning of the first wave of enemies and do all that gameplay over again. Now I don't know about you, but this isn't the 1980s anymore. I'm not playing an Atari game where I'm trying to memorize patterns. I'm playing an action-based shooter game and I want to have fun doing it. Now, I don't mind dying a couple times. I especially don't mind dying if I can save whenever I want and resume from where I saved. But when you tell me that a specific area is a checkpoint that I have to start from, and then to get back to where I was because I died due to trial and error, and I have to now remember that there's a new enemy around the corner, or a new enemy flanking me or sniping me, and I have to replay several minutes, up to say 5 to 6 minutes of full gameplay and redo the same repetitive firefights, over and over and over just to get back to that point, to get a chance to not die to that guy who just killed me, that's a major fucking design flaw. That is a major fallback of Max Payne 3. It's almost like the game developers were like, well, we want to make it like the original Max Payne game. Oh, but we want to make it modern, so we're going to put a checkpoint system in. But the checkpoint system fucks you over and makes you replay stuff that in the original Max Payne games on PC you didn't have to. So it was a complete brain fart by the developers of this game. And I hate to say that because it is a major brain fart and is a major detriment. The game itself, if you could save anywhere you wanted, or if the checkpoint system was way more frequent during certain firefights, the game wouldn't be as annoying as it really ends up being. There will be points during this game where the difficulty ramps up significantly. It's balls to the wall. You make one wrong move, you will die. And you'll be so fucking angry at the game because you're like, I just fought for 5 minutes, now some guy just snuck attacked me and I didn't know it was there. Now I have to replay another 5 minutes of gameplay. I'm fucking pissed. And you'll throw the game and you'll stomp and you'll fucking throw your controller. Again, there's going to be this group of hardcore Rockstar fanboys and gamers who played the original games who don't think it's that big of a deal. But for the average person, it's insanely frustrating. There's no reason for that to be in a modern game, especially when you had 10 fucking years to develop it. I could see if this was a rushed sequel, this game you took your sweet time developing and you still have a horrible checkpoint system in it. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, outside of all of that, I have to say now, you know, when I do a review, I have to talk about my experiences with the game. And a lot of people, I guess, didn't experience what I experienced when I was playing this game. But I'm so glad that I do video game playthroughs. Because I think a lot of reviewers say stuff, and then people are like, oh, I don't believe them, there's no proof, and they shrug it off. Well, this game had some of the most silly, annoying game bugs in some of the worst possible fucking places that, again, frustrated the fuck out of me, because here you are fighting in one of the hardest firefights of the game, and here comes a game-crippling game bug, you know what I mean? So, without further ado, let's talk about some of them. I have to say, the funniest game bug is by far when Max Payne, there's supposed to be a scene that's like a heartwarming scene, where he starts to play a piano in this broken down hotel where there's been horrible organ trafficking going on, all kinds of crazy shit. And he actually takes time to sit down at a piano and remember to his past when he used to play the piano and play a touching tune. And so he starts playing it. What happens? His fucking arm dislocates from his shoulder, shoves into his mouth like this, and so he's playing the piano like this. Like, wow. Talk about taking away any kind of emotional attachment or interest you would have had in that scene. It's just fucking insane. His arm snaps out of socket and physically goes into his mouth like he's eating his own fucking arm off when he's playing the piano. Wow, okay? That's only the funny one. Now I'm going to talk about two of the most annoying game bugs I've ever encountered in my life. There's one point in this game where you're actually on a ship. And you're on the side of this giant ship. It might be a yacht or something like that. And all of a sudden, you're like near the dock, and a jeep drives up, a helicopter comes down, and dozens of troops spill out of these vehicles, and from the pier they're shooting at you on the side of the ship, okay? It's really difficult because you need to kill these guys before you can go above deck to fight even more guys, because if you go up there without killing them all first, there's way too many guys, you get overwhelmed. And there's very limited cover. There's a railing, but it's not really good cover, so it's really hard for you to figure out what should I be doing, what's the proper order here to kill these guys so that I can survive. While you're doing this, and undoubtedly it's going to take you several attempts to do it. It took me like 20 minutes to get past this part. At one point, I do the jumping bullet time dodge, and as I do it, I kill a guy on shore, all great. All of a sudden, the camera locks onto the dead body of the guy on shore and never goes back to the boat. And I'm trying everything in my power to get it to go back, and it won't. I'm like, fuck, what's going on? Well, alright, maybe I'm going to have to replay from the last checkpoint. Guess what? The game didn't even give me that option. It was going to make me restart the entire stage, which would have reset like 30 minutes of gameplay, which I was not willing to do. After fucking with the controls for 8 straight minutes, I finally found out what had happened. When Max Payne had did the bullet dodge, he fell through the side of the boat, which is obviously a clipping error with the game, fell into the water, which you're not supposed to be able to do, and was completely hidden from the camera's view. So what I had to do is fuck with the controls so much that Max had run to the front of the boat, under the boat, and suddenly the camera snapped back to him underwater, and then I couldn't do anything. I had no way to get back on the boat, so I had to run around in the water eventually until the troops saw me and shot me dead in the water, and then I had to replay the whole thing from the start. Ridiculous game bug that shouldn't be in the game. Then, to make it even worse, I have to say, one of the worst game bugs I've ever encountered, definitely one of my most frustrating moments in recent memory, at the very end of the game. I don't want to give spoilers away, because if I tell you the location, it will be a spoiler. But there's a room where you're in a very confined area, you are absolutely surrounded by troops. They're in front of you, they're on the sides, they're behind you, they're on balconies, they're coming in from doors all over the place. It's really hard. It's meant to be hard because it's right at the end of the game, so it's purposely made to be difficult. So I raged and I moaned and I complained and I used different methods. Sometimes I would try to attack from the ground, sometimes I would run up on the scaffolding, try to kill people from there, sometimes I would ride this conveyor belt through it and try to do it. And everything I tried, I couldn't fucking do this. After 20 minutes, I finally grinded my way through it. Was on the top balcony. The last soldier burst through a door, shot him, and even did a really cool close-up bullet time kill. I was so relieved. I said, yes, I cleared the room. Once you clear a room in this game is when the checkpoint happens. So I was like, yes, finally a checkpoint. And that's when everything vanished around me and Max Payne was shot into the fucking sky. I was surrounded by clouds and sky. Couldn't see anything, couldn't see where I was. I couldn't tell if I was still in the room and the graphics had just bugged out. There was absolutely no way for me to proceed, and I was forced to restart from the last checkpoint, forcing me to completely redo the room again. So, holy shit. Game bugs galore in Max Payne 3, and some people said, well, Phil, I played this on the PlayStation 3, and I did not see any such bugs. Well, whoopity fucking do for you. All I can do is review a game based off of my experiences. These game bugs happen, whether it's an Xbox hardware issue or not. The bottom line is, Rockstar developed a game for the Xbox 360. The game should fucking work on the Xbox 360 and not have game-breaking bugs. These were two critical game-breaking bugs that I experienced that really fucked me over and forced me to play the same shit over and over in the most difficult parts of the game. Unfucking acceptable for a Rockstar game. Rockstar games are supposed to be AAA titles that we can all trust in, and you know, there's no problems. You can just zoom through them and have a great, enjoyable time, and it really feels like you're watching a movie at the same time. Two game-breaking bugs is too many. Unacceptable when it's supposed to be a AAA title. Okay? So overall, the campaign of Max Payne 3, it's long, it's fun in parts. What I would say, here's the ratio I would say. For 75% of the game, it's really fun, and you'll have no problems, okay? For 25% of the game, it's challenging. But for 10% of the game, you will be faced crushingly difficult odds. The game will expect you to use trial and error repeatedly and replay several minutes of gameplay, going back to checkpoints that are not sufficient for this style of game, and you will want to kill yourself. So, 1/10 of the time you're playing the game, you will hate it, but you'll probably enjoy the rest. Being that it's a Rockstar game, it has AAA production values, really good voice acting, a great story that ties in with the previous Max Payne games. I would say if you have played the previous Max Paynes, I do recommend it. I think you will really like this game. If you didn't play the previous Max Paynes and you're looking for something that's a lot of fun, but you accept the fact that there will be some crushing difficulty in certain parts, and you accept the fact you may run into some really annoying game-breaking bugs, then I definitely recommend this game as well. Now let's talk about the multiplayer. The multiplayer is extremely similar to the multiplayer from Red Dead Redemption, from Grand Theft Auto, from pretty much every Rockstar game that's had multiplayer in the past 5 to 6 years. It's third-person shooter. It's got that auto-aim assist that you can turn off if you want, but most people love using it because they use it during the campaign of this game anyway. It's set on by default. And really all you do is on certain maps you do different objectives. Sometimes you can have team deathmatch. Sometimes you'll have regular deathmatch. Sometimes it'll be go capture 2 bags that are on the stage and try to bring them back to your base, and you get money based off of that. But it's also kills count as points as well. Sometimes it'll be like territories or domination in other games. That's what they've called it. Where you just have to capture certain areas and hold them. It's your standard fare for a third-person shooter. It's nothing that's going to blow you away. There are no cooperative modes in the game, by the way. A lot of people who said, oh, Uncharted had co-op, does Max Payne 3? No, it does not. There's no co-op available in Max Payne 3. It's pretty standard fare for online. Now, if you remember, every game has a gimmick from Rockstar, okay? So for Grand Theft Auto, it was an open world setting. You could steal cars, you could drive around during the multiplayer, do that kind of stuff. Plus, there was racing and other stuff built into the multiplayer. For Red Dead Redemption, it's a Western setting, so you can ride horses and do stagecoaches and stuff like that, but also you have the Deadeye ability. Okay, that was the gimmick for that game. For this game, the gimmick is the bullet time. You have regular bullet time and the jumping dodge that does bullet time. But I have to say, from playing it for about 2 hours online, it's kind of annoying, because bullet time, unlike the Deadeye and the other things in the other games, actually slows time. So there are some matches where you'll be playing and literally every 2 seconds, oh, slow motion. Okay, fast one. Oh, slow motion. All right, I'm going to share this guy. Oh, nope, slow motion because someone else is using it. And it is fucking so annoyingly frustrating that they made it like that. Like, couldn't they make bullet time work without slowing the entire fucking game down? Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. I don't know, but they didn't, okay? The other thing is, the game supports up to 16 players in a multiplayer match. And the maps for a lot of these modes are entirely too small. You'll have games where, oh, okay, your team spawns immediately right in front of you is the other team. It goes into an insane firefight. You respawn in front of 2 dudes from the other team who immediately murder you. You respawn with a dude from the other team's back to you, so you kill him. Then his teammate spawns behind you and kills you. It's like, what the fuck? It's just an insane clusterfuck. It's totally uncontrollable. It's out of control. Don't get me wrong, it's like madcap fun. You want to jump online for a couple hours and blow people away. You want to have that kind of experience with a couple friends. You're probably going to have some fun. Is it something that I'm going to repeatedly go back to? Absolutely not. It's too out of control. The multiplayer for Max Payne 3 is not anywhere on a level where it could be considered a competitive level, okay? It's just not well thought out. It's not well laid out. And in addition, unlike those other Rockstar games like Red Dead Redemption, like Grand Theft Auto 4, there's not a lot of variety in the gameplay. It's pretty much always you with, sure you can eventually pick different loadouts and unlock different guns as you level up, but it's always just you and your team against these other guys in a third-person shooter setting. There's no vehicles, there's no gimmicks, it's not open world, it's very linear. I mean, that's one of the points that I think I want to make about the bugs of the campaign of Max Payne 3. I can understand that in other Rockstar games there have been some pretty crazy bugs, but I want you to think about those games. Grand Theft Auto 4, Red Dead Redemption with people shooting into the sky, even L.A. Noire. Those were open world games. This game is extremely linear. You can't wander off and go the wrong way. There is no open world. So to have game-breaking bugs in the game is inexcusable. To have a multiplayer system that's so limited and it's just the maps are just horrendous and it's a clusterfuck half the time is inexcusable. So will the multiplayer add on to the quality of the game? Sure it will. Is it anything that I think that unless you really just enjoy madcap fun blowing the hell out of people and you don't care about the fact that it's really not a competitive setting, do you really care about going back to the multiplayer of this game? No, you don't. And if you want my honest opinion, and this is going to be being really honest, brutally honest about this, when I bought the game, I saw that they had the Rockstar Pass, which is you could get all the multiplayer DLCs coming up for this game for $30. Now, I played Red Dead Redemption, I played Grand Theft Auto, and I liked the multiplayer expansions for those games. They added new game modes, they added new elements that really added to the game. So I said, oh, I'm going to get it, and I got it at the store. I bought it for Max Payne 3. I have no desire to play the multiplayer of this game again. And that sucks because I bought $30 worth of additional DLC content that's coming out. Unless they add significant new game modes, things that are going to add variety to it, maybe a significant amount of new maps that aren't too small and fucked when there's 16 players on the screen, I don't ever want to play this game again. And that really disappoints me because now I have $30 that I put into it that's completely pissed away because I already redeemed the code. That would have been another thing. If I hadn't redeemed the code, maybe I could have given it away or something. Unfortunately, I redeemed the code the day I bought the game. I don't know why. I guess I'm an idiot. And now I'm stuck with this multiplayer content coming up that I probably won't even be interested in. So that's it for Max Payne 3. For me, it's a mixed bag. Now, at least when I say that, it's a mixed bag that has high production values, the Rockstar seal of quality. You know you're going to get a great story, great voice acting, great graphics, all that kind of stuff when you buy a Rockstar game. And in that respect, I have no complaints. It really is the fact that they tried to take this hardcore third-person shooter from a decade ago, bring it into the mainstream, and they botched it. Instead of letting you save everywhere, which is why it wasn't so bad back then, even though it was so difficult, they put in a botched checkpoint system that it's way too few and far between these checkpoints, and sometimes forces you to replay repetitive areas of gameplay over and over and over again. It's really fucking annoying. In addition to that, game-breaking bugs, at least in my experience on the Xbox 360, that are completely inexcusable for what's supposed to be a Rockstar AAA title. In addition to that, yeah, there's multiplayer, but I don't feel it's as good as the multiplayer of games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 4. They've done better before. This kind of feels like a step back, especially with some of the maps that absolutely suck ass, and it's really not that fun. It's more like madcap insanity for a couple hours to the point where you get bored of just getting blown to hell every 2 seconds, and then you're like, ah, alright, it is what it is. So, Max Payne 3, it's a good game. If you've played the previous Max Paynes, you'll love it. If you didn't, you may like it as long as you're willing to accept the fact that the checkpoint system is flawed and you don't care that you're going to die repeatedly and have to redo certain things, and that you may actually run into some really annoying game-breaking bugs. You might still like it. The multiplayer will be a fun diversion for people. I don't significantly see anyone playing this for more than a couple weeks in multiplayer, unless, again, when these DLCs come out, they completely change the face of the multiplayer of the game, which I doubt they will, but who knows. I guess I'll find out since I bought the pass, you know what I mean? I had so much to say about this game that I actually ran out of time on my camera, and I had to splice in this second part, even though I'm going to make this short and sweet at this point. There's flaws in this game that are inexcusable, and to see mainstream media give a game like this that has the kind of flaws, that has 9s and 10s, just goes to show you once again, you can't trust what these people have to say. The game is not as good as these overhyped fanboys are saying. It's still a good game. It's not great. It's not Game of the Year material. I'm sorry, it's not. Unless you're a Max Payne fanboy, and these are like your favorite games of all time, this will not be Game of the Year material. Too many problems, checkpoint systems fuck, bugs are annoying, multiplayer is forgettable. So, all things considered, I'm going to give the game a fair score. I'm going to give Max Payne 3 a 7.75 out of 10. I feel that it's a good game. It's at the verge of being a really great game if these problems weren't in it. I think that Rockstar did kind of fudge up a bit with some of the problems in the game. And if those game-breaking bugs hadn't been in there, I probably would have given it above an 8. But the fact that those kind of bugs exist in a Rockstar game on a mainstream console, they're promising you they're taking this older series into the new, the relevant, the modern, and then to have those kinds of fucking issues is inexcusable for a Rockstar game that's supposed to be a AAA title. Again, the multiplayer I was disappointed with. I think it could have been done a lot better. I give the game a 7.75. Alright, so that's it for the Hateful Truth on Max Payne. Hope you found it informative. Hope we cut through the bullshit and that you just got the maximum truth on this game and you now have an idea whether or not you want to check it out. Okay? I'm DSP and I'll see you next time for another edition of the Hateful Truth. Thanks a lot.